I'm afraid that events on the ground will make it impossible, even for the Western media, to cover up the reality of failure. And at that point, I am not convinced that the leaders of the Anglo-Zionist empire would be willing to settle for being a great power in a multilateral world ruled by the rule of law. Because if they fail militarily, and I think they will and are, they will fall back on the last thing which will be left in their arsenal, which is nuclear weapons. Regardless of how dysfunctional the U.S. military is, regardless of how corrupt the military-industrial complex is, regardless of how poorly trained and commanded American forces are, the U.S. nuclear triad is still functional. Functional enough, for sure, to trigger World War III. And that's all it takes. And I'm afraid that's their last tool.
But I don't think their strategy is to win militarily. I think their strategy is to win economically through overwhelming military expense. So what they want to do is outspend and outlast Iran in Syria and Russia in Syria to the point where the Russians and the Iranians collapse economically or come into submission.
I understand, but the problem is that this strategy has now very clearly failed. Both Russia and Iran are countries which have not and will not be destroyed or put to their knees economically. And we have even a better case, I think, which is the DPRK. And Putin clearly said that. He said, they're willing to eat grass if needed, but they will not give up on their nuclear weapons. And I think that's exactly the reality that this logic is faced against, is that doesn't work anymore. The Russians actually and the Iranians basically are forcing the U.S., by not being crushable economically, to do what they've done with other adversaries who were resisting them in the past, which is either use terrorism or actual military intervention and bombing. And that's where they're headed for defeat. I agree with you that the Western elites don't want a nuclear war. They don't even want a direct confrontation militarily with Russia. The problem is that when everything else fails, that's what they're left with in their toolkit. They're not going to just go, okay, I guess our time is over. That's where I see the danger.
Right. So I think you're exactly right on this, because they thought that Russia and Iran would collapse by now. So if you look at their writings, they thought the collapse would come, and it hasn't come. Something else has happened, and it appears to me that their strategy is, okay, well, then it's a matter of time. We just need to keep this up longer.
Yes, but that also doesn't work. I mean, you have the example of Cuba, and again, the best one, I think, is the DPRK, where sanctions, and mismanagement internally have had a dramatic impact. But the society is still resisting. The country still, has what it takes to fight back.